This is Histories and Mysteries. I'm Ashley.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Rochelle.
And on this week's episode, Ashley is going to be talking about the Skull and Bones Society. And I'm going to be talking about the ancient secret society of the Hashatians. And this was actually a recommended episode by Robin, one of our listeners. She sent a message through our website contact form and suggested that we do secret societies.
Yeah, which are super interesting.
Yeah, I've not heard of either of your stories. Or I've not heard of either of those secret societies, so.
You've never heard of Skull and Bones?
I haven't heard of Skull and Bones either.
Really?
No. I briefly read about them when I was looking through a list.
Is it an American thing, maybe? Or like...
Well, yeah, because it was from one of the universities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so...
I mean, it's definitely American, but I just thought it was kind of internationally known, especially in Canada.
Oh,
I have no clue.
never heard of them.
All right. Well, let's get going then. So, I got my sources from Britannica, the New England Historical Society, an Insider article, and a podcast that Parcast does called Secret Societies.
Cool.
Ooh.
Yeah. So almost everyone is intrigued by secret societies. The secrecy, the society, the secret society. And you can't talk about secret societies without talking about Yale's most famous society, the Skull and Bones. Side note, please don't come after me, Skull and Bones. There's a lot of powerful Skull and Bones people, so.
Oh.
Also, side note, take everything you hear in this episode with a grain of salt, because these are secret societies, so everything, at least with my story, everything that we have, none of it's been, like, confirmed, right?
I have the same disclaimer in my story.
Okay, yeah. And everything that has been leaked, some say, like, they wanted it to be leaked. So just take everything with a grain of salt.
I'm so intrigued by all of this, as I have no idea what the Skull... I still have no idea, like, what the Skull and Bones Society does. Like, it could be anything to me.
Oh, you're in for a good ride then, Rochelle.
It reminds me of Gilmore Girls.
Gilmore Girls?
With that, yeah, there was, like, a secret society at the university that the main character went to, and she got to be part of it.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Canadian universities, like, don't even have, like, fraternities or sororities, so I doubt we have any secret societies.
Really? You don't have any Greek life?
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
No, that's an American thing, my dear.
Really?
It's very American.
Yeah.
My mind is blown right now.
Yeah, no, we live in dorms.
Yeah, I mean, we have dorms too.
Oh. Well, yeah, no, we don't have anything like that.
Oh,
No.
that's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was just watching House Bunny the other day, and I'm like, I wish we had those.
Yeah, I was in a sorority. I was also in a community service co-ed fraternity.
Oh, fun. Did you live in, like, one of those nice big houses?
No, I never got to. So, the sorority that I joined, I was only in it for, like, a year before I transferred schools. And then, so the thing with Greeks, for the Canadians out here, a little quick Greek lesson. If you join a sorority, you can't ever join another, like a different sorority. So, like, I was in Delta Zeta at Grand Valley State University, and I transferred to Michigan State University, and they didn't have a Delta Zeta, but I couldn't rush any other sorority. So I ended up joining this co-ed community service fraternity just to, I don't know, just because it was fun, so.
Interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't get to live in any big pretty houses.
Wow, I'm surprised that it's that strict.
Yeah, and, like, I mean, who's going to be able to tell, you know, that, like, you were in another sorority, but if you did get caught, you would get kicked out.
That's so weird. Why?
Well, because, like, once you pledge one, you're kind of, like, pledging yourself to that one, and so they don't want you to, like, pledge to another one. Plus, they have, like, there's, like, secret handshakes and stuff like that, like, they don't want other sororities to learn or anything like that.
Weird.
All right. So, the Skull and Bones is a secret society at Yale University. You guys have heard of Yale, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure we're on the same page with that one, because my mind is blown on the other ones. So, all right, so let's talk a little bit about the history of Yale and how these kind of secret societies came about. Yale was originally founded when a group of men thought that Harvard was getting a little too willy-nilly with their rules. They weren't being strict enough. So,
oh, goodness.
yeah. So they decided to create Yale. And like Harvard, it was a minister school. So men would go and learn how to, like, be a minister and then go be kind of like the pillars of the community. So they had, like, really strict rules for them.
What? Like, I'm confused. Like, ministers in the literal sense of, like, you're gonna go preach in a church type of minister?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, that's how Yale and Harvard started out as.
That makes sense, though, because, like, that religion has always been tied into stuff like that. So I get why it would be
Yeah,
like a minister school.
So, but they were very elite. So the people that went, the men that went to this Yale and Harvard were very elite, kind of like now, but even more so. And so much so that their student rankings were not based on their academic standing, but rather their societal standings of the families. So at the top of the pier, you would have like really well-to-do politician type families, and at the bottom you'd have like your farmer families. So taking this into account, they decided to create these secret societies. They were basically like study groups that were like secretive at first. And there was a ton of them. And it was really a way to get the elite of the elite would be asked to join these secret societies. So it was a way to push those gaps even more.
That's mean.
Yeah. It was not at all.
Did you ever watch Dead Poets Society?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I love that movie.
Okay, yeah. So it's reminding me, like, it's kind of giving me those vibes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
Did you guys ever watch The Skulls with Joshua Jackson?
No.
Oh, so good. It's based on this. It's so good. But anyway.
Fun.
No.
So let's go back to 1832.
I loved your sound effects.
Thanks.
1832 is the year that they started construction on Fort Henry.
Really? Interesting. So 1832, the leaves were crisp and the air was cool, and William Huntington Russell and Alphonso Taft were pissed, according to one story.
Lovely names.
Yeah. The fraternity Phi Beta Kappa had just been targeted by Yale and forced to disclose their member list and other secret information. So apparently there was, like I said, just tons of these like secret societies on Yale campus. And someone found out some secrets from one secret society and was like threatening to tell, and then he went missing. So after that happened, people got really pissed about secret societies. So Yale kind of went on like a witch hunt trying to find them. So that's when they forced Phi Beta Kappa to disclose their membership list and all that kind of stuff, which made them so much less cool. So these two men said, screw it, we'll make our own society and, you know, go underground with it. Another story says that William actually just went overseas to study in Germany and saw a group like this and was like, hey, that looks cool, I'm going to do that. But I like the other story better, so we're going to go with that one. They first called the club the Eulogian. That's it. Okay, that's pronounce it. I was like, I'm going to trip over this word. The Eulogian Club. After I believe a Greek goddess.
How do you spell that?
Eulogian.
Yeah, eulogian.
Eulogian.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And their emblem was a skull and crossbones with the number 322 beneath it. 322, I read two different things. One is that it represents the birth of Eulogia. The other one said that it represents the death of the Greek orator Demosthenes. That guy. His death was a turning point for Greek government, going from a democracy to a plutocracy. Very fancy.
Okay.
So there's like the two reasons why they picked that number beneath it. And the way they work is every spring the society chooses 15 members, and they're like the elite of the elite, or a lot of times there's legacy members, and they pick them by walking by and just tapping them on the shoulder. That means, hey, you're in. And it's called Tap Day or Tap Night.
Oh, okay. I was gonna be, I was kind of confused for a second that they just, like, any day they all went around willy-nilly just tapping people on the shoulder. And it's like, how would you be able to figure out if it was...
They were just like, excuse me.
Yeah, or if it was like a tap you're in. Because it's like, me, I'd probably be like, oh, I felt like a little brush on my shoulder. I'm gonna wander on over to this elite fancy club. But, okay.
Yeah, it was like a certain day.
Okay, that makes sense. That's smart.
Yeah.
And that's why they're in the secret society.
This secret society took off. Fun fact, from 1865 to 1916, 80% of the Yale professors were members of the Skull and Bones Society.
What? That's weird.
Yeah, a lot.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, again,
I just want to know what they do so bad. Like, I'm so curious.
Yeah, and there's some theories that I'll get into a little bit. But like I said, disclaimer again, that they're so secretive that not as much known. So we do get a lot of our information on the Skull and Bones from Alexandria Robbins, who published a book in 2002 called Secrets of the Tomb. And the tomb is what they called their house. I guess it's not a house, but like their building is called the tomb.
Okay.
So she said that every bonesman, that's what they call them, bonesman, takes a tomb name.
It's okay, I laughed too.
All right, let's talk about some bonesmen.
Every bonesman takes a tomb name that is never revealed to non-members. And these names are like really silly sounding. I think like one was Magoo or something like that. They're weird.
Magooey goo.
How do you know if they never revealed
Well,
them to
someone
anybody?
with talking. So this Alexandra Robbins said that she had like files and papers, and then some Skull and Bones members were talking to her. She obviously kept them anonymous though. They also have what is called Skull and Bones time, and their time is 5 minutes ahead to encourage you to think that being in the building, so the tomb, was so different, and so you'd let your guard down. So where the rest of Yale would be like 10 o'clock, Skull and Bones time was 10:05.
That's so weird.
Yeah. They also have a large clock that is always set to 8 p.m., which is the time of their meeting, because you should lose yourself in the tomb and time should become irrelevant.
This is like a cult.
I'm already so mind blown. This is
So
insane.
get ready for this. Their clubhouse was built in 1856 and has since over doubled in size. Like I said, it's called the Tomb. It's 2 stories, and it has a dark glass window so you can't really see into it. There's heavy steel doors with 3 padlocks that have to be unlocked in the right way or an alarm goes off inside. And they say it looks like a mausoleum from the outside. There's dozens of skulls, both human and animal, both human and animal, that dangle on the walls.
Ew.
And German and Latin phrases have been chiseled into the walls as well.
This honestly sounds like a weird, like, witchy cult. I'm not saying
Yeah.
witchy cults are weird. It just sounds like it.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Skeletons are also in cases, like full-blown skeletons, and hung from the ceiling.
What?
They're rumored that they have the stolen bones of the mistress of King Louis XV. And it's rumored that they have the head of Geronimo. And that rumor is so prevalent that Geronimo's family tried to sue the Skull and Bone Society for the remains to put their ancestor to rest, but they were not successful. Okay, so there's another person named Ron Rosenbaum who published an article in 1977 saying that he believed that something was not right about the society and that their tomb holds dark secrets. He stated that if you go into a building that's kind of like close to where their courtyard is, you can hear cries and moans coming from the tomb during the new member initiations.
Oh. Yuck.
Yeah. And then in 1968, there was an account that said that each new member is physically beaten and then forced to, like, naked wrestle, and then there's some kind of weird coffin ritual that they do.
Oh, no, thank you.
I have no words for this. Like,
Yeah, I know.
what? Here's the thing is now I want to go inside really badly.
You want to go into the tomb?
Well, no, like I don't actually want to go into the tomb, but I'm just so curious about what's in there.
What
now.
it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I feel like I have to get in there.
Yeah, so this thought was because in 1940, Rosenbaum said that the new men were placed in a coffin and chanted over and then reborn into society. So that's kind of where that rumor came from about the coffin ritual.
That's terrifying.
There's also a rumor that initiates are forced to masturbate in their coffins before being reborn, but Bonesmen deny this. They say that's not true at all. But
Yeah, like, why would you need to masturbate? That's wild.
yeah. So apparently in the spring of 2001, someone approached Rosenbaum with claims of a certain spot that allowed you to view inside the courtyard and see the Bonesman's initiation ceremony. So he went and he videotaped it. And on this videotape, he saw a man wearing an animal skin holding a knife standing over a woman covered in fake blood and very few clothing. The new person, like the initiate, had to kneel by the man with the knife and kiss his skull. Then the man with the knife pretended to cut the throat of the woman. And they say, I'm going to ream you like I... Oh, this was the other thing I forgot. There was another man there that had a George Bush mask on. And he says, I'm going to ream you like I did Al Gore. And then another guy says, lick my bum hole, neophyte.
Okay.
So
What the actual fuck?
So the lady that we talked about earlier that wrote that book, she said that she thinks what he saw was a hoax. She said she believes that they knew he was watching, but Rosenbaum was like, nah, they didn't know. But this podcast I was listening to made a good point that said they have this impenetrable tomb. So why would they perform this incredibly secret ceremony outside in the open where people could hear them? Like, that doesn't make sense.
No.
But in her book, Alexandra Robbins said that this is actually how their initiation goes. So you're led to the door of the tomb, and a bag with a hood is placed over your head. You're escorted to a first room that is pitch black except for several cigarettes that they have. They tell you that you're about to die and be reborn. Your head is then covered again, and you're led around the tomb, like all over room to room till you're kind of like disoriented. And then they place your hand on wood and say, this is the coffin we're going to bury you in. The tour stops, and 4 men come up on either side of you. They're called the Shakers, and they you stand at a door, and behind the door they ask what your name is. The Shakers shout it. The door opens. You're pushed into the room where the other members are clapping and screaming. They bring you to the table where there's a card with an oath of secrecy while the room chants, "Read, read, read." But before you can read, they grab you and move you to a statue of Eulogia, and you have to kneel before it while the room chants, "Eulogia, Eulogia, Eulogia." Then they shove you back to the oath where they chant, "Read, read, read" again. Then they shove you back into another corner of the room where you kneel in front of a portrait. And then they rush you before a man named Uncle Toby.
Random.
Uncle Toby then recites Latin, and they chant and say, say it. And then they say, he can't. And then they go back to the table with the oath where there's a skull with red liquid, and they chant, drink it. It's Kool-Aid. You then go in front of a man.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah, watch it, the Kool-Aid. You then go in front of a man dressed as Don Quixote with a sword.
Don Quixote.
Yeah, Quixote, thank you. With a sword. He raises it above his head and then taps you on the left shoulder and declares you a knight of Eulogia. The bell tolls 3 times, then 2 times, then 2 times. The room shouts, "Bones!" You then go back outside the inner temple, and ta-da! You're done. And then they have a huge party.
That was a beautiful
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Doesn't sound that bad. Is that supposed to be bad?
No, I don't think it's supposed to be that bad. I mean, there's there's all those stories about hazings with fraternities and stuff, but I think the secret societies, maybe this one's a little bit different than that. So, there are some conspiracy theories on this society, and one of them is that they wanted to control Yale because they didn't like the direction it was going. And if that is the case, they succeeded because 80% of those professors were Skull and Bones members. Another theory is that they control the CIA, which James Jesus Angleton was head of CIA counterintelligence for 2 decades, and he was also a bonesman. The other theory is that they are a branch of the Illuminati and want global totalitarian government. So, there is a ton of notable bonesmen, to the point where at one time, all, I think, treasurers for universities were bonesmen. There's also William Howard Taft, who was the 27th president and a Supreme Court Chief Justice, was a bonesman. Walter Camp, who was the father of American football. Lyman Spitzer, who was an astrophysicist and invented the Hubble telescope. Potter Stewart, who was also a Supreme Court Justice. McGeorge Bundy was a State Department liaison official. All of the Bushes, like George W. Bush, all of them were bonesmen. John Kerry was a bonesman. Frederick Wallace Smith, who founded FedEx. And Austin Goolsbee, the youngest member of Obama's cabinet, was also a bonesman. And one of the interesting things that they talk about is when George Bush ran against John Kerry, they were both bonesmen. So it didn't matter who won. There was going to be a bonesman president. So that's just like an interesting little tidbit of information there. Cool. And that is all I have on the Skull and Bones Society.
That was cool.
Thanks.
It's a lot more.
I need to know what they do in there.
I don't think you'll ever know. They just started allowing women to join in the 90s, I believe. So maybe get into Yale, Rochelle, and maybe you can join.
I mean, I do kind of want to go back to school.
Well, there you go.
Okay. I really liked your story. It was super cool.
Thanks.
Mine is a bit
That was insane.
shorter.
That's okay.
But mine is a lot older.
Yeah, yours is real old.
Yeah, so my sources, that the word, was Ancient Origins and History.com.
Okay.
So, and please, like, when I was researching this, I immediately regretted it because I knew I was going to struggle with words. So I tried finding pronunciations for everything. If I don't say things correctly, I'm so sorry. I'm trying. I spent like a good 15 minutes looking up pronunciations for everything after I was done. So,
oh, jeez.
I'm gonna do my best.
That's dedication.
Yeah. I'm trying. So it's basically like set in Persia and Syria in the 11th century. So,
oh, jeez. That's a really long time ago.
yeah. So it's a very ancient society. That wasn't English. It's one of the first probably ancient societies. And they're the Hashashins. The Hashashin order, commonly known as the Middle Eastern Assassins, was a medieval terror-spreading group that specialized in the assassination of significant persons. And, in fact, it is thought that the word assassin derived from this ancient order.
Oh, wow.
So, I was watching Prince of Persia this weekend with my husband. I love it. And the assassins in that movie were called the Hassansins, and they're the ancient city that the time sand whatever is in Alamut, and Alamut was the castle that the Hashashins took residence in.
Oh.
So it was like kind of tied in that way. It was super cool. And Assassin's Creed is basically based off of the Hashashins. And a really cool fun fact. Yeah, and Ubisoft, which created Assassin's Creed, they were the developers on the Prince of Persia games, which actually came before the Assassin's Creed games.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Is that what Aladdin's dad was in?
What?
That's my only, like, thing of knowledge. Aladdin's dad, he was in something. He was in some group.
I don't remember Aladdin's
He was the king. He was the king of thieves.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It was the second Aladdin movie. He was the king of thieves.
Yeah, but was that the group he was in?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Nope. But yeah, no, that was a great movie. That was a movie I always watched when I was sick, and I still watch it when I'm sick. I love it.
Aladdin, King of Thieves, or the Prince of Persia?
Yeah. Aladdin, King of Thieves.
Yeah.
All right. So Nazaris, Nazari Ismailis, Batinis, which were people of esoteric teachings, or I am not even going to say this word. I'm going to spell it out. TA'Limiyah''S.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I couldn't even find a pronunciation for it, so I'm like, I'm not even going to attempt to say it. I don't want to be offensive, and I will butcher it. So they were people of the secret teachings, were some of the other names that the Hashashins were known by. For more than 130 years, they ruled the medieval Islamic world. And since they are such an ancient order, it's very difficult to separate fact from fiction when it comes to them, kind of like the Skull and Bones Society. Mm-hmm. And they're also from the 11th century, so it's also like there's not a lot of sources or documentation, which will kind of be explained at the very end. So,
yeah.
There was a man, his name was Hassan al-Saba or E-Saba. It was like Hassan-I or Hassan al-Saba. So it just like kind of differentiated between the sources. But he founded the Nizari Ismailis order in Persia and Syria in the late 11th century. Hassan was a charismatic leader who was both a great mathematician, a devout religious scholar, and he was very diabolical. Hassan was a devout follower of Ismaili ideas who was very well liked by other Ismailis throughout Cairo, Syria, and most of the Middle East, which led to a number of individuals becoming his followers. Hassan created and became the Grand Master of one of history's deadliest and most fatal mystery cults, using his esteem and popularity. While his motivations for forming this organization are unknown, it was rumored that it was all for his own political and personal gain, as well as to inflict vengeance on his adversaries, the Crusaders.
Ooh.
So, they were infamous for capturing many mountain fortresses and posing a threat to Sunni Seljuk authority in Persia. One famous castle they infiltrated was the castle at Alamut, which, like I said, was the Prince of Persia reference. It was the holy city of Alamut. And then it was actually the castle that they infiltrated and established their stronghold at.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was funny because I was researching this and I texted my husband while I was doing it. I'm like, I really want to watch Prince of Persia now. Like, there's so many references. It's so cool. During that period, considerably more powerful states ruled the region, including the Sunni Seljuk Empire and the Catholic Crusader states. Due to their limited number, the Hashashins were likely no match for their opponents in an open field battle. So, they came up with a really good idea of sending out men to assassinate the leaders of their enemies instead. Hassan's disciples were willing to carry out all of his commands, even if it meant death, because they were committed to their master's mission. Every minute of every day, the assassins were training obsessively.
Ooh.
They were skilled in a variety of techniques, including martial arts, poison chemistry, espionage, and infiltration, and they spoke multiple languages fluently. But the art of subtlety was their strongest weapon. Their weapon of choice was actually a dagger, and they didn't wear any type of armor. And if you've played Assassin's Creed, it's pretty much like that. They would dress like as someone inconspicuous so they could go unnoticed until it was kind of time to strike. And they would just like whip out their knife and go, "Hachika!"
Wow.
So.
Wow.
Sorry, my dog was eating so loud that it sounded like something was crashing around in the kitchen.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that.
And this is all happening like in medieval times?
Yeah, the 11th century.
Holy.
Super crazy. Yeah. So they killed sultans, viziers, caliphs, patriarchs, and counts. So basically really powerful people that were heavily guarded. A lot of the accounts in regards to the Hashashins are derived from Europeans or people that were against the order, so the stories potentially have been exaggerated over the years.
Okay.
One of these potentially fabricated or exaggerated stories is as follows. Hassan, for example, would dose his troops with hashish and bring them to paradise, and some referred it to the Hanging Gardens at Babylon. Oh. According to a story heard in the Orient by the Italian explorer Marco Polo, this is kind of his account of that, I guess. Hassan would declare that he was the only one who could allow his followers to return to paradise once they regained their senses. So,
of course.
Yeah, of course. After a few hours of enjoying this paradise-like setting, Hassan would emerge and say something along the lines of, "This is what I am presenting to you. Follow my teaching and submit to my will, and I will show you the route to heaven." So,
okay.
Very culty.
Yeah, these secret societies are very culty.
Very culty.
What's the difference? Where's the line drawn? Like, what's the...
Well, I think, like, nowadays, one of the major things is that cults ask you to give all of your money and property over, and the secret societies don't.
See, and my thought was a lot of cults revolve around murder or suicide. That was kind of what I was thinking. Like, you're very, like, you just, like, you have to give your all, right? Otherwise. So, I don't know. I'm just thinking of, like, Charles Manson, Jonestown, Heaven's Gate, stuff like that, so.
See, we have a cult here in Kingston.
Really?
And it's, so it's the 12 tribes, but they have a place called the Yellow Deli, which is like a restaurant where they use all the stuff.
Yes, I've heard of them.
All the stuff that grows on their farm, and they live on this big communal farm outside of the city, and all of all of your income goes to that, and they like make their children work in the restaurant, and like it's insane.
Wow.
Yeah, and they do a lot of yellow delis in college towns so that they can recruit young, kind of lost kids that are away from home.
Dustin had one like come up to him and give him a pamphlet.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, as a result of this, like, his followers were really loyal to him, and they would carry out every command because they wanted to return to paradise. He would even periodically command one of his soldiers. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. He would periodically command one of his soldiers to do a swan dive off the top of the citadel. And this is in reference to Assassin's Creed's Leap of Faith, where, like, you go to the top of the, like, church spire, and then you just, like, jump off into a haystack down below. But in this case, the assassin would smash into the concrete from more than 30 floors high with no hesitation.
Oh, gosh. So he wouldn't make it very far.
No, he would splat on the concrete and not into a haystack.
Ugh.
Yep.
That's nutty.
So this was just how loyal they were to him. And I just never understood why he would make them do that unless they were just, like, being little shitheads.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Super creepy. And just sad. Anyways.
Yeah.
There is a problem with this story.
That's awful.
Yeah. They thought that there was a story with this problem. A problem with this story. So the use of hashish, for example, could have been a fabrication. The Fatimid Caliph Al-Amir is said to have coined the term hashishi in 1122 as a derogatory term for the Syrian Nizaris. Instead of actually implying that these individuals used the hashish drug, it was intended to imply that they were outcasts or rabble. So, the fact that they were cold-blooded killers was put into question at some point. I don't know why, but it was. There were times where their assassinations were witnessed in public in broad daylight, and this was so that they could instill fear in their enemies, and it was their favorite way of assassinating their enemies.
Oh, geez.
In broad daylight. So, Conrad of...
That was the thing back then, man. They loved to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Conrad of Montferrat, the de facto king of Jerusalem towards the end of the 12th century, is one of their most famous victims. According to legend, Conrad was assassinated while strolling through the city of Tyre in their courtyard with an entourage of mailed knights. I don't know what mailed knights mean. I think they were wearing chainmail, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's probably the mail. Yeah.
Two Hashatians dressed as Christian monks walked into the courtyard and stabbed Conrad twice before killing him. So basically, the most imposing, merciless, and untouchable man in the Holy Land was now dead.
Oh.
Although it is uncertain who hired the Hessians, it is widely assumed that Richard the Lionheart and Henry of Champagne were involved.
Oh.
Very fascinating.
I've heard of Richard the Lionheart, but I haven't heard of, what was the other one? Henry of Champagne.
It was probably Henri of Champagne.
Wow.
Ooh, it's so sexy, Jessica.
Thank you.
Be Henri du Champagne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a Count of Champagne from 1181 to 1197 and King of Jerusalem from 1192 to 1197 by virtue of his marriage to Queen Isabella I of Jerusalem. He was from France and he died in Israel.
Oh.
Very interesting. He probably got on the throne after killing Conrad.
Probably.
Anyway, moving on. They were so bold with their attacks, but they were also skilled in psychological warfare. So by instilling fear in their enemies, they were less at risk themselves because their enemies would basically just surrender for fear of anything happening to them. But honestly, like, you would typically think that you were safe out in the open and in the daylight, surrounded by your guards. But then, bam, these badass assassins are on your ass and taking you down, even if you're surrounded by people that are, like, hired to protect you.
Trained to help you, yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, frick, man, I'm not safe anywhere. The Muslim leader Saladin was one of these enemies. He survived 2 attempts on his life by the Hessians, which put him in an almost constant state of fear.
Yeah, I bet so.
Yes. So Saladin awoke one night during his conquest of Masyaf. I have it in parentheses on how I'm supposed to pronounce it, and I still don't think. Masyaf. Let's do that. In Syria, to find a person exiting his tent. There were hot scones in the shape of the Hessian beside his bed, as well as a message affixed with a poisoned dagger. He would be killed if he did not withdraw from the fight, according to this note. So, Saladin understandably opted to reach an agreement with the Hessians.
Oh.
Despite their fame and talent, the Hessians were unfortunately wiped out by the Mongols who invaded Khwarezm. The Mongols captured the Hessian citadel in 1256, which was supposed to be impenetrable. The Hessians were able to retake and hold Alamut for several months in 1275, so like almost 20 years later, but they were eventually defeated. In total, it is said that 40 Hessian fortresses were captured by the invaders and thus brought an end to this organized force, which was a very unfortunate event because with the defeat of the Hessians, their documents and personal sources of why they were doing what they were doing and how they did things were destroyed in the process as well. So that's why there isn't a lot on them, because all of their stuff was destroyed after they were defeated.
That's fortunate.
So, and that's my story of the Hessians.
That was so interesting.
That was, yeah. I had no idea. Never heard of them.
I know, it's like...
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I like I said, I thought that they were called the Hessians in Prince of Persia. That's why I really wanted to do them. But then I watched Prince of Persia and it was the Hessians. But I don't know. I like them. I think they're cool.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Or that was very interesting. I said that sounds very interesting, but like I just heard it, so that was very interesting.
It sounded.
And I have 2 jokes.
Ooh.
I have 2
I'm
jokes.
excited.
Okay, you guys probably won't fall for the second one, but I'm hoping it happens.
Okay.
Okay, so why did the king go to the dentist?
To get
For
his
a crown?
Yeah.
To get his teeth crowned, yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
And then I heard that someone from this podcast is an owl disguised as a human.
Who?
It's you, Ashley.
I tried this on my husband earlier, and he looked at me and he's like, "Really? You think I'm gonna fall for that?"
I have one kind of similar to that. Knock knock.
Who is there?
Sarah?
Europe.
You're a poo.
Are you gonna say
I'm
you're
not a poo.
As I said, I'm like, oh no.
You're a poo. Oh, you're a poo.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not a poo.
Oh, poo you.
Well, if you want more great humor like this, you can find us on our website at historiesandmysteriespodcast.godaddy sites.
Go, Daddy.
That sounded very sexual. .com.
Did it? Oh no, I want to do it again.
No, keep it.
You can find us on our website at historiesandmysteriespodcast.godaddy sites.
Go,
I
Daddy.
can't do it now.
It was just really breathy. You're like, go daddy.
Go, Daddy. Oh, your cat.
Yeah, did you hear him? We made him mad. We interrupted his sleep. I'm so sorry.
You made me overthink it too much. I couldn't do it the second time.
I did it for you. It's fine.
.com.
Woo! And look out for our new website. It's coming soon. It's historiesandmysteries.ca.
And don't worry, Americans, you can still access it just fine, even though it's a .ca for Canada.
Okay, the .com was like super desirable and $12,000.
So we have a GoFundMe. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, gosh. You can also find us on our TikTok, Histories and Mysteries Pod. We are posting, well, we should say Jessica's posting several videos, and then Rochelle and I are also posting some videos here and there. So you can check us out there. And our Facebook page at Histories and Mysteries.
And Instagram.
And Instagram.
And then if you want to rate and review us, it would be super appreciated on Apple, or I think it's just Apple, right?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think
it's
Lane
just
does
Apple,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, you can rate and review us on Apple. It'd be super appreciated.
Yay! Thank you so much.
Bye. Oh, wait.
Jess is like, I'm out.
Have a great week, and we look forward to bringing you 2 new stories next week.
Bye.